There are some practical realities to it. Like, if they're going to get set up to look at a bug or something, it might take some more time. But in general, we haven't really run into any situation where, we couldn't get the help that we needed, or, even adding new features that we wanted. So that's been cool. And not only that, but since we're doing new stuff for All for One, they've taken that and they're incorporating that back into the engine.
You talk about how kind of how you work with Ted and sort of the people that are at Insomniac and looking at the game kind of from the executive production role and sort of giving you a lot of feedback. What is that like, kind of having those guys, giving you reality checks on things?
Oh, well, it's great. It's like we have this pool of very experienced people who've been making games for a long time, and when you get feedback from people of that caliber, it's just golden. We get so many like really good little nuggets of information from those sessions, and like all it takes is one person to say that thing that we were just almost waiting to hear that kind of sets us off in the right direction. That's happened over and over. We're talking about people who just are experts at analyzing games and really kind of understanding what a good next step is for a game that's in production, because that's what they do.
Yeah, and it's like, especially Ted's the CEO, so he's responsible for running the business, and he's the captain of the ship. But it's really, really cool that he'll also take an hour, and it's actually 4 people that always have to play, obviously. But that he'll take an hour aside and then write up feedback, and it's great. Like Chad said, it's really great stuff. It's crazy to have that group of people, looking at your game and then making suggestions. It's just really valuable.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I sit right across from Ted's office, so a lot of times Ted's like, I need a 4th, and he like comes out looking at Ryan, and I'm like, one of you two, like, let's go. And so we end up playing, Fridays are almost sort of now the day where we end up playing, because we have Resistance 3 play tests on Friday, and we play our other games as well, you guys' game. And so every Friday it's sort of like, okay, here's some progress on things, and we get to check everything out and sort of kind of talk about where things have been going. And it's always a really fun way to end our week now at Insomniac, because we get to see like everything that's happened and kind of continue to have the conversations. And by Monday you're coming in still talking about the stuff you saw on Friday, and you have a whole kind of new agenda for the next week. So it's been a really fun experience. Someone else who's been working on this game from Burbank is Mr. Fixman right here. And how has that been for you, working with these guys remotely, kind of writing the script? And you almost sort of have to be out there because you have the voice actors as well. So can you kind of talk about that whole experience?
Yeah, actually it's been great. When Chad brought me into one of the meeting rooms and pitched me the idea of All for One, I had a lot of technical production questions about like how we were going to get it done from opposite sides of the country. But so far, it's been very smooth. We have we write a draft of the script and I'll send it over to him, and then he and Sean will provide feedback and notes, and it'll be very iterative, and we'll go through it until we're happy with what we've got, and then we'll pitch it to the animators here, and we'll just come up with something that we know that we can get excited about. And one of the things that's been fantastic for me is that the team in North Carolina is so excited about making this game that I haven't heard no very much to a lot of stuff that I'm writing. I mean, everything that I write is a minute of animation time. It's something that needs to be built or something. But the guys in North Carolina are so excited about this game that they're willing to bend over backwards just to make the story as phenomenal as possible. So as a writer, it's really, really great to have that. So far we've got a story that I think we're very excited about telling. The idea actually came from Chad and Sean to get these 4 characters to get together and maroon them on an alien planet, and I love that because there's so much comedy to be had. Just to have like Quark and Nefarious being forced to work together, there's just so much potential for comedy there. So that's something that we're going to be playing up throughout the entire story. So it's been a ton of fun.
So how did when you kind of got to get together with the voice actors and sort of explain this? Because you have James Arnold Taylor, who plays Ratchet and is fantastic. David Kay, for Clank, Jim Ward for Quark, Armin Shimmerman, who plays Dr. Nefarious and destroys his voice on a monthly basis for us by
Poor
screaming.
guy.
What was kind of the reaction when you sat down with those guys for the first time to explain what was going on?
They were so excited. Probably the most excited was James Arnold Taylor, who plays Ratchet, because he's got a little girl, and he's been looking for a game that they can play together, and finally he's going to have that. So they were very excited to be aboard. And these are 4 actors that are in love with the characters, and they're willing to do anything that they can to bring their heart and soul to the characters and make sure that their performance is just as amazing as the game before it. So they're really stoked about this game. So I hope I told James that me and his daughter would have to play when it came out.
Just like one observation that I've had, just like seeing the script develop, just for TJ, and I mentioned this to you, but you seem to have a blast writing this stuff.
Yeah, I do.
It's hilarious. Like, I'll laugh out loud like when I'm reading stuff in the script, and it's just all about those 4 characters. I mean, it's amazing the amount of comedy gold that you can get. Just, I mean, between Quark and Nefarious.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
they're so much fun. It's shocking even to me that after writing so many,
Right.
it's 3 Ratchet games and I can still find that same love in the characters. But they're so much fun. There's so much potential for comedy with them. And now, for the first time ever, just to have them all together for the entire game, we've never had it. It's always been a scene by scene thing. But now the entire game, these 4 characters are going to be essentially together and just struggling to survive on this alien planet, and Nefarious, who just hates where he is and just could not have a worse situation than to be paired up with his nemesis and have to actually band together and fight their way through this alien planet. There's been so much fun writing stuff for that, so I'm so excited to see what the final product is.
So, before we go back to kind of talking about this demo and building up to it, let's hit the comic real quick, because you've been working on the comic too, and you've had a chance to really extend kind of the story between A Crack in Time and All for One with the comic book. So can you talk a little bit about that experience and working with DC on the comic?
Yeah, DC's been great, and Adam Archer, who's the writer, he's been fantastic as well. He's got his own style, his own sense of humor that he brings to all the art, and it's really phenomenal to see it all get put together. And we wanted to write something that was essentially it's a standalone adventure that nods to both A Crack in Time and to All for One. So it's not required reading, but your experience is going to be enhanced if you check out the full continuity of it. But it's been an absolute blast, and the main plot actually came about as something that we came up with, me and Brian Algeier, for A Crack in Time, where we were beating our heads against the wall trying to come up with something for Nefarious to do in A Crack in Time, and I brought up the idea that maybe he's stealing planets to form his own galaxy, and we thought that was something wacky and ratchety and fun, and unfortunately it didn't satisfy. The final requirement was that we all wanted very much to do a time travel game. So we put that aside, and I always knew that I'd come back to it. So as soon as DC asked me if I had any ideas, I was like, "Yep, I got one," and they loved it. So it's been a fun process.
I totally blanked on what I was going to ask you about that, but I had a good comment.
Oh
well. Anyway, so we were building up to this.
It's live.
It is very live. Live
Don't
podcasting.
escape the curveball question, I have a feeling.
This would have been edited out of a normal show, but you all get to see it in person.
Live. Yeah.
So let's talk about building up to this demo and GamesCom and PAX and that press conference that we had where we revealed the game. This came together, I think, when did we finally decide? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Do you remember when we decided that we were going to show the game at GamesCom?
I wish I did. It's kind of blurring together a little bit. It was maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I know that from pretty early on, after we got our vertical slice together, we thought that the best way to announce the game would be to just show it and to just play it, because we think it speaks for itself better than anything we could say about it. And it maybe answers a lot of questions about the style of game it is, how it plays, what it looks like, and a lot of other things that, if we were just talking about it, maybe it wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah, and to explain a vertical slice a little bit, I guess, or actually, Sean, can you explain kind of what that vertical slice was?
Sure. Really, when we're talking about a vertical slice, we're talking about having one small section of the game where we're going to do everything from top to bottom. So that'll involve, animating all the characters, getting real effects in there, getting gorgeous looking art, lighting. We want all of the pieces in place for this little slice of the game, because once we do that, it informs the rest of the process. As you're going through and you're developing the rest of the game, you can always look back to this thing and say, hey, this worked, and it puts everything through the ringer. Like, one thing that you never want to do when you're making a game is not create anything that's alpha quality or close to shippable until the end of the game. Like, I've seen that done before. So in this case, it's really cool because we have targets for just about every feature in the entire game.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think a lot of that goes back to our production methodology that kind of comes from Mark Cerny too back in the day, which is build that first prototype and build something shippable before you continue on with the rest of the game. And it's something we still really try and do, because once you have that target, and you guys have seen a lot of that target in the demo that we had yesterday, and it'll be online by the people for the people that are listening at home. That's the level of quality we want to maintain through the rest of the game and make sure that we're hitting at least that. that. So
yeah, we get so much out of doing that. I mean, we learn how long everything's going to take. We get to test our assumptions and make sure that what we thought was going to be fun is actually fun in practice. Sometimes those can be two different things. And in the process of making it, we adjust. We test the thing that we thought, and then if we see that we need to tweak a little bit, we tweak it. We just keep working at it until we think it's really fun to play, and then we calibrate based on what we learn from it.
And we were not afraid to change that thing. Like when I think back of like how the vertical slice evolved, I mean, a lot of it, like we were not afraid to make huge changes when we needed to. Like if we saw something it just wasn't working, like we would throw out nice looking art, we would throw out all kinds of things in favor of like just trying to get all the best pieces in there.
Was there any like one specific thing you remember throwing?
Absolutely. So if you guys see the demo, the wind turbine segment where the characters go down the elevator and they fall and then they come up there, I mean that was not in the plan originally. That's something that a designer kind of threw out this idea. I mean, he said, wow, we could do something like this, and I was kind of like, that's insane. Like that doesn't. But what he did is he built a prototype. He just created like using some rough assets, worked with the programmer and got it together, and then we could see it. And it, once we had that in place, then the artist came in and built everything out, and it ends up being like one of the most memorable parts of the whole thing. But that was a highly organic element.
It's amazing if you actually listen to that. I think one of the things that helps sell that part so well is too the music. Like you get this sort of you hear the rumbling and then it locks into place and there's this dead stop and it's almost like a roller coaster and then the floor drops out beneath you and you all fall and then you almost sort of get this like carnival music that reminds me of when you're on one of the roller coasters at Disneyland and you're hearing the music as you're on the roller coaster, and it just sells this entire moment as this great theme park thing that. It blows my mind every time I play it, and like we've demoed it so many times now, but every single time I demo it, it's this big smile on my face because I know the roller coaster is about to go over the first hill.
Yeah, I like watching people's faces at that part because like you're going down this elevator and it's like another elevator. Are you kidding me? Like how many elevators have you been on in how many games? So it's really nice when the floor drops out and you can see people and they're freaked out. Very cool.
So when we're getting ready to show this game, we already have this level, but you guys spent a lot of time kind of polishing and putting different sections. If you saw the GamesCom demo, there's some shaky cam footage that got out there. We cut together, 3-4 different sections, or maybe I guess there's 3 little sections to show in about 4 or 5 minutes because you don't have a lot of time in these press conference stages. So how did you guys come to the decision? Like did you all kind of get together to figure out what, or did you have a good idea already of what you wanted to show?
Sure. I mean, we played it. We play test everything, and that helps us come to a decision about everything that we do. So we played through with designers and paced everything out and timed everything, and then just put together something that we thought was a pretty good representation of where we are with the game right now. That shows the kind of variety we're aiming for. That covers a lot of ground. Without being too long. Like you said, we only had 4 or 5 minutes to work with, so that really dictated what we could show.
There's a lot of other things that go into a game announcement besides just showing a cool demo. We were working on the name of the game pretty late. We had when that dictates getting a logo together, which is a lot of fun. We also had the key art, which I think if you guys have seen that image, was Dave Girton putting together something. But there's also the trailer, and a lot of that all came together, in those weeks leading up to that. So can you talk about kind of all those various pieces? And you guys put together some really awesome animations introducing each of the characters and also an animated version of this art piece.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that the trailer really was about simply announcing the fact that we're making a cooperative Ratchet and Clank adventure, and we wanted to show gameplay footage and let that kind of be the base of everything that we were working with. Again, because we think it kind of speaks for itself pretty well. But at the same time, we wanted to set things up and really show that these 4 characters are together. We wanted to show how they have these unique silhouettes that kind of let them stay distinct on screen and really get as much of their character across in this short piece as we could. So, we took our character models and posed out a sequence that looked like Dave Girton's key art and lit it, animated it, really tried to, kind of match it up to the key art as closely as possible. And we also animated little intro scenes for each character just to let them each have their little moment to shine. We want to kind of focus on each of them individually and show how distinct they are and kind of get everyone thinking about how great it could be to play through with these guys, together.
And that trailer was a lot of work on you guys' side, and then also Calvin put in a ton of time on that trailer, and I think it's pretty impressive because I think that's the best in-house trailer that we've ever produced for a game, and so it was really a lot of fun actually putting that together and getting to see like the special animations and stuff is stuff that I'm shocked we got, because it's like so hard to ask for those sort of things, but you guys did an incredible job of really putting together a lot of cool stuff in a short period of time.